Come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. Let's talk Too Close to Home, season 1. You know what? This episode, it was crazy. Here, we look up, Dr. Allen got his ass back up on top of Victor and got his hand, and he done cut him open and got his hand in him talking about blowing up a walrus or some shit. So I'm figuring, I said, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, it must be something. You know how you remember things a certain kind of way. And you use analogies. So right away, I said, this must be some type of analogy for how he remembered, doing some type of a procedure. And sure enough, that's what it was. His lung had actually collapsed, and he was trying to make it puff back up. So that's what, I guess, the analogy in his head whenever he was learning was to blow this walrus up. I need the walrus to blow up. You know how walruses. Okay, so that was that. So he actually did it. He saved Victor's life yet again. So we actually have him. I'll just continue talking about Victor while we're there. So the paramedics actually show up in the midst of all of this. The paramedics stitch Victor up. They say how good of a job Dr. Allen did. And they basically move on to tell him, we can't take him. He's stable. We have another emergency that trumps this one. We got to go take care of that. And if we have time, we'll come back and get him. Well, I really don't believe all of that either. I think it's, again, some more of that backwoods shit. And they because they made reference to the fact that he had Dax and, a little tattoo about him loving Dax and all that. And I think, they clocked he was gay. And I think they just was like, there was a whole lot of that going on. So, I don't know. But that's it. Just a mess. Mess. But anyway, so we got all that going on. So then they left him. They said maybe they'll try to make it back the next day. Then we got Annie and Bonnie. They are sitting there. They're talking back and forth about different things. And the subject of Brody comes up. And Annie basically asks Bonnie, is he still in love with me? Because she's so narcissistic. Is he still in love with me? And Bonnie told that bitch, no, he's moved on. And then she started making reference to his looks. And I was like, girl, that's making you look kind of suspect, honey. But she was saying, he's not that little skinny little boy that you used to date anymore. He's like a man. Yes, God, he is, honey. But anyway, so she kind of, I don't think Annie even caught it really too much. She's like, yeah, well, whatever. So after that, then we actually have Dax and Valerie actually show up in Happy. And they go to the mama's trailer, honey. So they end up going in. They meet mama with her ignorant, fat, stinking ass. And she's being all rude. And she's asking Dax, well, who are you? This, that, thing, that. Then she's going to ask them, well, who, you're looking for the friend. Well, what is the friend that you, just being ridiculous. And he tells her, it's my boyfriend. She says, so are you one of those pickle pickers? I'm saying, what the fuck is a pickle picker? Tyler, you trying it, child. You just making up shit now. A pickle picker. I said, okay, girl. So she go back and forth with him. Then they're asking her questions. She gonna say, you know what? I don't talk to your kind. So they're going back and forth. Valerie and her end up getting into it. And, she's like, child, definitely don't like your black ass, It's just, then she starts asking them questions about Annie. Child, Dax gave her, girl, get on out of here, man. Ain't anybody telling you nothing. If it's your daughter, then you ask her. And they're leaving. I said, you get out my trailer. They said, with pleasure, Stinky. We out of here. So they ready to leave. She would say, hey, I asked you a question. She wanted to know, was Annie really sleeping with the president? He turned around and gave it right back to her, told her, hey, I don't talk to your kind. and went on out that door. She was just as mad, honey, and she ended up calling over there, calling and said, girl, somebody's out here and they're looking for you, honey. So she comes out of the other trailer. She sees them. They get together and they go a searching. Yeah, they go start. Oh, when they first ran into each other, of course, Valerie started giving Annie the business. She's like, bitch. Because they said, why are you, what's wrong? She'll say, you're what's wrong, you bitch. And, they start right at it. But they end up going down to the bar. They fill her in on what's going on. They go down to the bar. The bar owners are in there. Honey, they got into it real nice. And it was a real nice, nasty exchange. And the bar owner, the woman, Lily, let them basically know, child, we don't like fags and we don't like black bitches, honey. So that was that. Honey, they was going back and forth, back and forth. Honey, that motherfucking Valerie was not backing down. She told her, she said, let me tell you something. You old backwoods ass bitch. I said, oh, honey, they was slinging it back and forth. They got all the information out there, told about the credit card was being used there. They kept saying, we don't know, we ain't seen them. Credit card being used here, bitch, you're lying. This is a hate crime. So I don't even know what a hate crime is. And that's what she told me. She said, when you're gay or you're black and you treat us bad, then the FBI comes, bitch. That's how hate crime works. Is that what you want, backwoods, bitch? I said, oh, so they going back and forth. Honey and Annie get in and tell her, girl, you don't want the FBI out here, honey. Not all the shit you be doing. Just leave it alone. Let this go. If you know something, tell the truth. So they basically went on and told her. So you go see the sheriff. She told her, she said, Annie, you get these people's ass out of here. I said, just a mess. So she go on, and everybody in the town is so trifling. They just, as soon as they see her, they be like, Annie, oh girl, how you been? Girl, was you sleeping with the president, bitch? They just real raunchy with it. But they go down to the sheriff's covering up. Nobody know nothing. Then they tell the sheriff says, well, yeah, we sent him. He's up at Dr. Allen's house. To sit him on up there. Well, up at Dr. Allen's house, that goddamn Victor done woke up. Now, Victor got on my nerves in this scene. Because when he wakes up, he talks to Bonnie. Basically kind of told Bonnie a little bit about what happened. And, they figure out that he's the friend that Annie was looking for and blah, 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 blah. And Bonnie goes down to get some pain meds for him. And she got a whiff of Victor and was like, whoa, okay. Because he ain't learned nothing. He's still on, on that time. And I'm like, you ain't learned nothing? Sometimes it's time to turn your flame down a little bit. There's a time and a place for everything. Just turn the flame down a little bit. Because that thing got you all fucked up. But no, not him, honey. Not Miss Victor, honey. Miss Victor's giving, they cut me in my saddle. I'm like, what is up with him? So then he looks up, and then Brody comes in, and he's looking like, ooh, well, all right, honey. I'm like, you can't even hardly breathe, honey, and you going in. Gonna say, who, if I died, gone to heaven? Are you Jesus? Ooh, all right. I said, child, now, Miss Victor, you're doing the most. About that time, Victor had got on my good nerves. He was just in full regalia and just giving it, honey. I said, oh, Miss Thing, you're doing too much. Tell them, oh, yeah, you're a handsome. Openly flirt when I said, girl, you want another ass whooping, huh? You want some more boot leather, honey, don't you, bitch? Just kept on. He was really ridiculous, but Brody just took it and was like, no, I think I'm good. He said, you need to let go of your rules, honey. And we said, what rules? He's like, boy, girl, boy, boy, honey, all the rules, honey. I was like, oh, child. I wanted to whoop his ass myself. That's how ridiculous he was. He was really trying it, Miss Victor. And I said, and then the worker is, here come Dax. How much do you love Dax, really? Because I think if Brody would have pulled his pants down, girl would have been on and popping. You can't even breathe, but you probably would have did a little something, honey. I don't know. That's the girl. Anyway, so they finally get up there, honey. Brody and Bonnie's down there talking in the kitchen. And The next thing you know, Bonnie and them actually Annie shows up, and Brody and Bonnie then got started, honey. They got to kissing a little bit. The next thing you know, honey, Bonnie went straight for the belt, honey, and pulled the belt down and put it right up in her, honey. And he was carrying her around, giving her 1, 2, 3, 4, honey. And she was giving, ooh, yeah, honey. And they out knocking on the door, honey, trying to get in. And then Annie looks at the window, honey, and sees Miss Bonnie, honey, riding for the hills, honey. I said, oh, woo-hoo. So that's kind of where it ended. I said, this is getting good here, honey. So we'll see what happens. That was it. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all in the next episode. Bye.